The Sol system was quiet that morning. From Earth's orbit, the blue planet gleamed beneath a thin veil of clouds, entirely unaware of the storm approaching at a speed no human telescope could fully anticipate. Commander Elias Ward sat in the subterranean command hub beneath the Rockies, a cavernous space filled with holographic displays and silent machines that hummed with latent power. The room smelled faintly of electronics and recycled air, but there was no panic here. There never was. Panic was predictable, and Ward had learned long ago that predictability was humanity's advantage. "Commander," Lieutenant Reza murmured, glancing at a holographic projection of the outer solar system. "Sensors are picking up anomalies at the edge of the Kuiper belt. Strange energy fluctuations, not any known natural phenomena." Ward didn't look up. His fingers traced a series of gestures across the console, bringing up more data. "That's them," he said quietly. "No urgency, no alarm, just acknowledgement. Confirm speed vectors. Compare with previous estimates. We've been expecting them." Reza's brow furrowed. "The Empire, here already? I thought their approach would be gradual. Decades of reconnaissance, then slow encroachment." Ward's eyes narrowed, scanning the streams of numbers and projections. "They underestimate us. Always. That is why they are predictable. And predictable is manageable." Far beyond the reach of human eyes, the Zarnathi Galactic Empire moved as a single, gleaming entity. Their dread carriers and assault frigates carved silent arcs through the void, millions of tons of alloy and energy shaping the first true threat to humanity in centuries. High Admiral Varkesh Thulin surveyed the fleet from the bridge of his flagship, Triumphant Wrath. His ceremonial armor gleamed under the harsh illumination of starboard lights. "Positioning complete," his tactical officer reported. "Targeting grids aligned. Humanity remains silent." Thulin's lip curled in disdain. "Silence is weakness. They will comply once we demonstrate superiority." His gaze swept the holographic map of Earth and its orbital defenses, which appeared minimal by Imperial standards. "Prepare the energy cannons. Let them tremble." Back on Earth, Ward moved with deliberate calm. The command hub was a matrix of screens and panels, each feeding a different stream of intelligence. Humans were not outmatched, they were underestimated. Years of preparation, of planning, of silent development had brought them to this moment. 1,000 satellites, kinetic arrays beyond Pluto, AI-coordinated drones, tools designed not to boast but to kill with precision and restraint. "Phase 1, Ward said. The words were almost a whisper, but every technician in the room understood. No celebratory exclamations, no dramatics, only execution. Lieutenant Reza hesitated. "Sir, our probes are reporting that some Zarnathi scouts are disappearing, literally vanishing. They aren't being destroyed, they're gone." Ward's gaze didn't shift. "Good. Continue monitoring. Log the events. Maintain silence. Do not alert the enemy unnecessarily. Let them wonder. Confusion is our ally." On board the Triumphant Wrath, Thun frowned as one of his scouts flickered and vanished from sensors. "Explain," he demanded. The officer stammered. "Unknown, my lord. Impossible," Thun snapped, cutting him off. "Every system is functioning perfectly. Report again." The scout reappeared briefly, flickering like a dying star before vanishing again. Thun's eyes hardened. Humans are chaotic, primitive, weak. Yet, they are not predictable. That cannot be. On Earth, Ward reviewed the full display. The so-called chaos was exactly what he had anticipated. Every alien maneuver, every attack vector, every formation, an equation he had already solved. Humanity's response had been calculated decades ago. A single misstep by the invaders, and their fleet would collapse without Earth ever leaving its orbit. A voice from the communications console interrupted the hum of the hub. "Commander, civilian transmissions indicate minor anomalies, satellite outages, strange orbital reflections, but no panic." Ward nodded once. "Good. Maintain civilian normalcy. The enemy must not see fear, they must see nothing." Their arrogance will be their undoing. Beyond Earth, the Zarnathi fleet moved closer, firing long-range probes that should have detected Earth's orbital defenses. The probes never returned. At first, the Empire dismissed it. Anomalies happen. But as their numbers grew, the sense of something unseen began to gnaw at even the most disciplined officers. Ward leaned back, studying the silent stars through the command hub's observation port. They think they see everything. They think we are unprepared. Let them believe what they wish. A pause hung in the room, heavy but not tense. Humans were patient predators. Ward's mind replayed the decades of strategy simulations, the countless war games run with artificial intelligence. The Empire never saw the full picture, never understood the depth of humanity's planning, and never would, until it was too late. Reza broke the silence. Sir, the fleet there. Hold, Ward interrupted. We observe. We wait. When the first strike comes, it will be decisive. Every move, every ship, every calculation has been anticipated. The Empire's pride will do the rest. The lights in the hub reflected off the polished consoles, casting thin shadows across the room. Outside, Earth continued its serene orbit, oblivious to the approaching storm. The first alien ships emerged into view on the holoscreen, immense, ceremonial, and confident. They carried the arrogance of conquest, the weight of centuries-old doctrine, and the assumption that humanity was defenseless. Ward's hand hovered over the console, poised to trigger the hidden sequence. He said nothing. The hum of machinery filled the space. Time seemed to stretch in the quiet anticipation, measured in heartbeats rather than seconds. Then, as if the universe itself acknowledged his command, the first ships disappeared. No flashes, no explosions, no screams. Simply absence. One by one, probes and small destroyers flickered out of existence. Sensors confirmed it, but there was no celebration. Only observation. Reza's voice trembled slightly. Sir, it's working. They're vanishing. Ward's lips curved, faint but deliberate. Exactly as planned. They are learning the first lesson of human resilience. Never underestimate what you cannot see. Far away, Thuan's calm certainty shattered. The ceremonial formation, the countless years of training and discipline, the arrogance that defined the Zarnathi Empire, all seemed irrelevant as the invisible tide of human preparation swallowed his fleet. Confusion, disbelief, and fear began to ripple through the ranks. Ward's eyes narrowed, not in triumph, but in focus. Humanity had waited its entire existence for this moment. And now, with silent efficiency, the world's first counterstrike was underway. Earth's orbit remained untouched, serene, almost innocent. Below, the billions of humans went about their lives, unaware that the fate of their species had just been rewritten in silence, and that the galaxy's most powerful empire had just taken its first, fatal misstep. Ward said nothing. He never needed to. Humanity spoke through its actions, and the stars themselves would bear witness. The first strike had barely registered across the Zarnathi fleet before chaos rippled through its ranks. Ships vanished mid-orbit, leaving empty swaths of space where entire squadrons had once glided with disciplined precision. Aboard the triumphant Wrath, High Admiral Thuan's expression tightened. For centuries he had relied on doctrine, on the predictability of the weak. Yet now, the weak seemed to know every move before he made it. Report! Thuan barked, his voice echoing across the bridge. My lord, stammered a tactical officer. Ships disappearing. Sensors cannot detect cause. No energy signature, no debris. They are gone. Thuan's jaw tightened. Impossible. They cannot have the technology. Ward, deep below Earth in the Rocky Mountain Command Hub, observed the turmoil with practiced calm. The displays lit with precise readings of every enemy vessel, some gone, some disabled, all accounted for by algorithms spanning decades of preparation. Human AI had anticipated the Empire's advance years ago. Every trajectory, every reaction, every ritualistic maneuver was already folded into the plan. Phase 2, Ward said, his voice soft, deliberate. Deploy autonomous strike units. Lieutenant Reza blinked at the console. Sir, the drones are still in stealth orbit. Initiating engagement will obliterate entire fleets. Ward's gaze didn't waver. Do it with precision. Only where necessary. The rest must learn fear. The drone stirred, nearly invisible against the backdrop of stars. Each was a coffin-sized machine of concentrated lethality, designed to strike precisely at command centers, engines, and bridge modules. They moved faster than the eye could track, their approach silent, invisible, deadly. Far above, in space the Zarnathi had considered their domain. Panic began to bloom. Officers barked orders that contradicted one another, formations twisted and fractured, energy cannons misfired against empty voids. The first human salvo had been ghostly and efficient. The second was devastating and intelligent. Sir, our energy grids are fluctuating, calculations are off. An officer reported. Our ships cannot coordinate. Thuin slammed his fist onto the console. Recalibrate. Every system, now. If we cannot destroy them, we will at least retreat in formation. This is not acceptable. On Earth, Ward tracked every movement in real time. His hand hovered over the control panel, watching the Zarnathi scramble in ways no human fleet had ever imagined. Silence ruled his command hub, punctuated only by the hum of machines and the quiet clicks of automated confirmations. The human response was methodical, precise, uncelebrated. This was not chaos. It was inevitability made manifest. Command, multiple ships are attempting evasive maneuvers near Mars orbit, Reza noted. Allow them, Ward replied. Observe. Every choice they make will bring them closer to the pattern we anticipate. Let pride guide them. And pride did guide them. The Empire followed the rules of war it had imposed on countless civilizations before, unaware that Earth played by no rules but survival. The humans had engineered conditions, a carefully staged trap, and every alien instinct led them further into it. Then the drones struck. Ships flickered, lights dimmed, systems failed, and command bridges were neutralized without a single human craft entering orbit. One by one, vessels were removed from play, leaving the Zarnathi fleet in disarray. No explosions, no dramatic displays, just surgical precision, a quiet eradication that made the Empire's arrogance seem grotesque in its inadequacy. A comms officer whispered, almost to himself, Sir, they are annihilating our formations without engagement. Thuin's knuckles whitened as he gripped the armrest of his command chair. This is impossible. They should be weak. Primitive. How can a planet without fleet superiority? Command. Ward's voice came through a covert channel, not a threat, just observation. You assumed what you could see was all there was. You were wrong. The words reached only Thuin's mind through indirect means, a single human broadcast intercepted by the Zarnathi systems. The message was chilling in its understatement, conveying confidence without boasting, superiority without malice. As the Zarnathi struggled to recalibrate, human orbital weapon arrays rotated into position. The moon, long a silent sentinel, revealed hidden arrays that fired with precision, disabling the Empire's central command ships. A single salvo crippled the flagship's engines, leaving it dead in space. Sir, Reza said softly, we are within range of the capital. Boarding sequences ready. Ward shook his head slightly. Not yet. Let them see the collapse first. Let their officers understand failure is not a random event, it is engineered. Aboard the flagship, Thuin's pride faltered. He realized, for the first time in his life, that his century of experience counted for nothing against a species that anticipated his every ritual. Prepare for full retreat, he ordered, though his voice carried the edge of disbelief and rage. But retreat was futile. Every escape vector had been calculated and countered. Human drones, faster than thought, intercepted fleeing vessels. Communication satellites jammed or redirected, feeding confusion. Entire squadrons vanished into nothingness, and yet, still, Earth remained untouched, serene, its people oblivious to the invisible war unfolding above. Ward stood, eyes scanning the holographic displays. He did not exult. There was no need. Every movement, every disappearance, every misstep by the Zarnathi was evidence of inevitability. Humanity did not need to fight with brute force. They needed only to execute their plan. "Commander," Reza said, voice low, almost reverent. "The fleet, they are in full disarray. Admiral Thuin is requesting negotiations." Ward's hand hovered over the console. He did not smile. "Let them send their message. It will reach nothing. Their understanding of humanity ends where their arrogance begins." The Zarnathi attempted to regroup, but ritual-bound obedience slowed them. They followed centuries of doctrine, expecting predictable human behavior. They did not account for decades of preparation, centuries of foresight encoded into machines, and the cold, calculating patience of a species who had learned to survive against impossible odds. By the time the first human boarding units reached the flagship, it was already dead in space. Systems were offline, engines disabled, command bridges neutralized. The boarding teams encountered minimal resistance, a few automated defenses neutralized in seconds. Thuin's pride remained intact only in form, his authority stripped in action. Ward's calm voice finally reached the Empire's commander directly, via a secure channel. "You assumed we would react as you expected. That was your mistake." Thuin remained silent. There was no retort. No words could bridge the gap between centuries of hubris and the invisible, calculated slaughter unfolding around him. In the command hub beneath the Rockies, Ward leaned back. The screens displayed the remnants of the Zarnathi fleet, scattered, crippled, broken. Not a single human life lost, not a single civilian aware of the unfolding disaster. Humanity had struck lightning, and the storm had passed before anyone could grasp its force. Outside, Earth continued to orbit the sun, indifferent. The stars remained silent witnesses. Humanity had reminded the galaxy, in the quietest, most devastating way, that it was no longer prey, but apex predator. The remnants of the Zarnathi fleet drifted aimlessly in sole orbit, crippled, confused, and bereft of command. The stars reflected off twisted hulls, but the light was cold and indifferent, a mirror of the galaxy's newfound understanding. Earth was no longer a backwater, no longer a curiosity. It was a calculated force, precise, lethal, and unseen until it struck. Commander Elias Ward observed the unfolding scene from the Rocky Mountain command hub, his fingers brushing lightly over the console. His eyes were calm, precise, taking in every blinking light, every failing system aboard the enemy vessels. There was no euphoria here, no celebration. This was execution, not triumph. Every alien movement, every desperate retreat, had been anticipated. "Sir," Lieutenant Reza said quietly, "their flagship, still intact, but all engines offline. Bridge systems destroyed. Admiral Thuin is issuing retreat orders." Ward didn't respond immediately. Instead, he studied the trajectory calculations of the fleeing vessels. Every escape path had been predicted, and every one was already compromised by the orbital arrays hidden behind the moon's far side. These arrays had remained inactive until the precise moment when the Empire's arrogance had ensured maximum exposure. "Phase 3, Ward finally said. The words were soft, almost conversational, yet they carried finality. "Engage planetary defensive arrays. Target command nodes only. Leave the rest for observation." The moon rotated on its axis, revealing an arsenal that the Empire had believed was merely geological anomaly. Turrets unfolded from hidden bays, firing precision strikes that disabled the remaining command vessels without harming smaller escorts. The triumphant Wrath shuddered under the impact, systems failing one by one, its proud silhouette losing coherence as its command and control collapsed. On board, Thuin's ceremonial armor now seemed grotesque, an artifact of pride with no purpose. "We miscalculated," he admitted, voice tight and brittle. He looked at his officers, all equally disoriented, struggling to reconcile centuries of doctrine with the reality unfolding in silence around them. Ward initiated the final sequence. Elite human boarding teams deployed through microwarp punctures, invisible threads of movement across the void, docking silently with the flagship. There were no alarms, no frantic resistance. Thuin's systems were paralyzed. The teams infiltrated the vessel with surgical precision, neutralizing automated defense systems, leaving only the Admiral intact. The channel opened. Ward's voice, steady and devoid of triumph, echoed aboard the flagship. "Hi, Admiral Thun," he said. "You assumed humanity would act predictably. That was your error. Every maneuver, every countermeasure, every calculation you believe secure has been anticipated." Thun's lips tightened, but no reply came. Words could not bridge the gulf between centuries of arrogance and the stark truth. Humans had anticipated everything, yet acted with restraint, choosing to dismantle the fleet with minimal unnecessary destruction. Ward allowed the boarding teams to extract only what was necessary. No crew beyond the Admiral was harmed. Every strike, every disappearance, had been calculated to convey a lesson. Humanity did not fight for conquest. Humanity fought for survival, and survival required understanding the cost of arrogance. Below, on Earth, civilians remained largely unaware of the disaster orbiting above. Life continued, indifferent to the galaxy's shifting balance. The command hub remained a place of quiet observation. Every screen displayed the final stages of the operation: ships drifting, command structures collapsing, communication attempts failing. "Sir," Reza whispered, "the remaining vessels, they are broadcasting surrender protocols. No condition but withdrawal. They understand now." Ward nodded once. "Let them depart. Humanity does not humiliate, it demonstrates consequences. This is sufficient." The Zarnathi fleet, broken, retreating, transmitted a single message to the Galactic network, a warning that would ripple through countless civilizations. Earth was not to be underestimated. Its people were capable of precise, devastating force, even when unseen and silent. For the first time, a Zarnathi officer dared to speak. "High Admiral, they allowed us to live. We survived." Thun did not answer. He had witnessed the apex of human strategy, and no words could justify centuries of assumed dominance undone in hours. Ward observed the fleet's final withdrawal. Every remaining ship followed carefully charted escape vectors, avoiding planetary interference yet carrying the memory of defeat. The galaxy would remember, and the lesson would spread faster than any transmission. Arrogance was dangerous, and underestimating humanity was fatal. In the command hub, Ward finally stood, stretching after hours of observation. His team remained quiet, not from fear but from the weight of comprehension. They had just overseen the obliteration of a galactic fleet without a single human casualty, using precision, calculation, and patience. "Sir," Reza said after a long pause, Do we inform the public fully?" Ward shook his head. "Not yet. Humanity's position remains one of silent strength. We reveal only what is necessary. The galaxy will talk. Let them talk." Across the solar system, satellites began their silent sweeps, assessing orbital debris, monitoring alien signals, and recording every event for posterity. Humanity's hand had been decisive but measured. Every move was catalogued, every anomaly understood, every consequence anticipated. The aftermath was quiet, almost serene. Earth spun on, indifferent to the chaos it had orchestrated above. Ward looked at the displays one last time. Humanity had acted like apex predators, silent, patient, utterly precise. The Zarnathi had been predators themselves, but pride had blinded them to the subtle calculus of survival and strategy. "Prepare the post-operation report," Ward said. "Include every calculation, every observation, every error by the enemy. The galaxy must understand why arrogance and underestimation are fatal." Reza hesitated. "Sir, are we finished?" Ward's gaze swept across the hollow screens, the silent stars beyond, and finally rested on Earth, serene and intact. "For now. But apex predators do not stop hunting, they only choose their moment. Today, we reminded the galaxy. Tomorrow, we remain ready." A message, brief and cold, was transmitted across every known channel, simultaneously cautioning and informing. "Earth is not hostile. We are not expansionist. We are not weak. Do not return. It was a statement of fact, not threat. The galaxy would heed it. Empires would adjust, strategies would shift, doctrines rewritten in the shadow of a planet that had demonstrated the cost of underestimation. Ward turned from the screens, walking toward the elevator shaft that led to the surface. Outside, the wind rustled over the Rockies, carrying the scent of snow and pine. Life on Earth continued, mundane and oblivious, yet forever altered by events above. Humanity had not roared. Humanity had acted. And in the silence that followed, it had proven that intelligence, patience, and preparation could overcome any arrogance. The apex predator did not need to boast, it only needed to strike with precision. Commander Ward paused at the exit, looking up at the sky. The stars were calm, indifferent, but Earth had changed the balance of power in the galaxy. The lesson had been delivered, and it would not be forgotten.